Hello and welcome to another episode of Dance Teachers Academy. I am your host, Jose on the mic, and with me as always is the lovely, amazing dancer, Ame. How are you doing, sweetheart?
I am great today.
You're looking fabulous. Those lights look beautiful on you. Yeah. Awesome. Folks, we'd like to welcome back a friend of the show, AJ Amyx. How you doing, brother?
And
Awesome,
our
man. How are you?
friend, too.
You're looking fab, dude.
Thanks, dude. I'm working on it. I'm getting my goal is Brad Pitt Fight Club body. I'm about halfway there.
Oh, there you go.
Yep.
Nice. I like the way that's going.
Exactly.
Before we get started, we want to get into a quick personal matter with this young man. You are what we call a newly minted parent. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That was how long ago?
That was, I think, 19 days ago. I checked my
think?
app. I'm pretty sure it's 19 days ago.
You think?
It's all like blurring together. Like I told Sarah the other day, I was like, it's almost 3 weeks, but I swear it's been 3 years.
Oh, okay.
It's
But the other one is
life-changing,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, well, we did tell you that was going to happen.
For sure.
I also understand that you got the baptism by fire here the other night.
Yes.
We can get, without getting too gross, can you, minor details.
Projectile poop, right?
Projectile poop, man. Sarah was like, it was actually in the morning. She was like, I think it was like 1:30. I don't remember what time it was. Anyway, but she was like, hey, I was like, yeah, sure. So I opened it and we're like doing the thing. And then like it was all over me. It was like just like squirted out like a water gun. And I'm like, whoa, turn it off. What do we do? And I'm laughing and Sarah's laughing. And, we finally get it situated. But yeah.
It's kind of, they get so, they're lovely, they're cute and everything. And then all that gross thing happens. You're like, wow, man, that's one extreme to the other.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess some people are like grossed out about it. I was like,
Listen, this is what happens when you have children.
Whatever.
Yeah, so officially welcome to parenthood.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. The other thing that we wanted to get into, kudos to you and no surprise to us, you actually made the top 10 best coaching services of 2018. Is that correct?
Yeah, HubSpot put me at number 9 out of 22.
Number 9, a list topped by Tony Robbins himself. So that's a pretty tall company that you're with.
Yes,
Exactly.
congratulations.
Outstanding. Yeah,
Awesome.
we're looking forward to you moving up that list.
Me too.
That's outstanding. Now, excuse me, what you were going to get into here?
Yes, so great. Not surprising to us because you've helped us so much with our business and directing. And I don't know. I just feel like, well, we got blessed with meeting you, and I think we met in such a great way because you and your.
Well, you taught us how to dance, or at least me, anyway.
I know for the wedding, and so that was a really great way to start and meet, and there was something about the two of you. I was like, gosh, I really like them. I really like to stay connected with them. So then I asked questions about what you do, and I thought, wow, well, maybe he can help. And I think this is my nature. Maybe he can help this other person I know.
Sure.
I didn't think, maybe he could help me.
Yeah.
But then it turned into, wait a minute, maybe he can help me and us and what we were doing, and we're growing our podcast, and you got us directed in an excellent way that feels wonderful to us, and we're meeting
Almost natural, I would say.
Yes.
So good. That's the goal.
Yeah, that's exactly the goal.
Like, that's where we meant to be.
Square peg in a round hole doesn't work.
No. And so many people try to force it, myself included, over and over and over again, and then we end up burning out.
It.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Yes. So it's really interesting because one thing that I really had to, I had to overcome a lot of things, but something that I think is interesting is about the aspect of social media and embracing it instead of like hating it. And like at first I was like, I don't want a Facebook, and I want it to be my choice. But that is so much how we get out there now. And so just so funny because in terms of social media, when Jose and I first met, we weren't friends on Facebook for a whole year.
Yeah.
That's how
I
little
literally
we were on
stayed
Facebook.
off of Facebook.
Yeah.
Didn't have an account, didn't get on there, had no idea what was going on there.
Just hide under rocks.
Pretty much. Well, I didn't need it for anything. I'm like, I'm not, my thing with my view on social media was that if I wanted you to know what I was doing, I'd say, hey, AJ, I'm going to be at this pub or I'm going to be at this restaurant.
Sure.
Stop by. We'll be there about 4 o'clock. I'll hook up with you. If you showed up, cool. If you're not, hey, I'll let you know.
Sure. Perfect.
Now it's social media. Look at this is a hamburger I'm having today.
Sure.
Yeah. So how do we embrace that? How do people embrace that? Because it's there. So if we're watching, let's say, sports on TV, and the commercial comes on, people go to their phone.
Sure.
They're sort of ignoring the commercials now. So the phone, the Facebook,
This is the television. This is the new television.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
This is the new television.
Right. And I have to say, I'm enjoying it. Awesome. At first I was so resistant, but now I'm kind of enjoying it. And it is a really effective way to reach out to people, for example, unfortunately, in a case like if there's someone that has passed away, sure. and there's a funeral, there's information, it's like you make sure that everyone has heard about it. Not that like in the past where you're like, who did I forget to call? Yeah. Make sure to call and let everyone know, or something important like a natural disaster, right? And so now people are checking in. I'm okay during the hurricane. So I think it can be really positive. But forget about what I think about it. We're interviewing you. What do you say about it?
My deal with social media is it's a tool, and it amplifies the messenger. And I feel like oftentimes, if we're using it for marketing purposes or business purposes, we're looking at it as this thing, this tactic, this tool. And then we're like, well, we have to figure out the art and science of this device of social media. This is representing social media, to then get an end result. When really maybe the question is, how can I use this to amplify who I am?
Okay.
Because ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what technology is all about. If it's done properly, it's an amplification of the messenger, of me, of you, of the people listening to the show right now. Rather than thinking, oh, I need to make sure I run this script, or I need to post in this methodology. And there is an art and science to it, don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, if we start asking a different question, which is, how can I use social media to amplify who I am to my ideal perfect people? How we do that's a little bit different. The way that you would reach out in the private message to somebody is a little bit different than just being like copy-pasting a script.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but how many messages do you guys get on a daily basis of somebody pitching you something? Mm-hmm. Probably a lot.
Bombardment would be the proper term, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just carpet bombing. It's technical.
I just feel like I'm like delete.
Exactly.
Delete.
Ignore.
Exactly. I was on a sales call with a guy the other day, and he was looking how to build his business. And what happened is he filled an application, and he pitched me. He said, hey, this is what I want to help with. By the way, I'd also like to see how, maybe we could work together, right? Meaning, hey, can I be a sales guy for you? Is what he meant. So on the beginning of the call, I was very direct. Hey, dude, I don't need a sales guy. We got it handled. So do you want to be on this call because you want some help, or are you actually looking to just fucking pitch me? He's like, well, I don't know what to say. It's too short. At the end of the day, he was looking to pitch me. So the lesson for him, I took the time to teach, which was, dude, get to know me before you pitch me. Mm-hmm. Like, go like my post, see what I'm about, comment on my stuff, befriend me, and then ask me if I need some help. But if you're just going to come out of the blue and be like, hey, here's how I can help you. Do you want it? Fuck you. No, I don't. I don't know you.
Yeah, cold calling.
Yeah, that's essentially all it is. When we wouldn't do that in everyday life, I wouldn't just walk up to the street to you, Jose, and be like, yo, love the shirt. Hey, I'm a business coach. You need some help? You'd be like, bro, who are you?
Yeah, give him the Heisman.
Exactly, right? Other than that, we would just, the better way is just let's be humans and connect. Let's see if we can find some synergy. And if we can, great. And if we don't, it's okay too.
It's okay too, yeah.
Right? Most people don't want to take that slower approach to the game of social media, but that's really what this is about, is leverage the tool to build legitimate, real relationships with real people. Talk to them how you would talk to them offline. Whatever that communication style is. Like, you guys know me by now, and the listener can probably tell by now too. I'm super direct.
Yeah.
I am.
I'll have to put that disclaimer in there. Hide the children.
I can be empathetic.
Sure.
But I also can be very direct. And that's one of my superpowers, is being a coach. Aligning people with the truth. Mm-hmm. So I show up that way when I'm communicating with people. Mm-hmm. Doesn't make me an asshole, right? I can do it in an empathetic way, but I can take who I am and how I would connect with you guys offline, and then leverage that to create content with that type of vibe, and then also using strategies to amplify me. Does that make sense?
Sure, that makes sense.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Hey, you guys need to be writing this down. I mean, this is good stuff.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about, when you have focused with us on our business, and it's in many different ways. So it's covering mind, body, business. I mean, like life, the whole thing.
Sure.
Which I think that makes you unique. But I've known you, and I know Tony Robbins.
Sure.
The other list, I'm like, I don't know these people.
Yeah.
Maybe I should, but I don't. So, but do you think that your business coaching services are unique in that way that you cover? I mean, you talk about meditating. You talk about the spiritual.
Sure.
Would you say?
I believe so. So a lot of the people that come work with us, because we do definitely do the business stuff, but what's going on in your life has a dramatic impact on business.
Of course it does.
For sure.
You can't separate them.
No.
Yeah.
You can separate them, but it's like driving a 5-cylinder engine and one of the cylinders is blown.
Yeah.
Like it'll get you from point A to point B, but it's a struggle.
Yeah,
and
it's
excruciating. It's not very efficient. It's not really fun driving an engine with a blown cylinder, right?
Yeah.
So figuring out how to deal with some of the life stuff, the faith piece, the family piece, the fitness piece, and then diving into the finance piece, and then ultimately having fun, right? But yeah, I would say we have definitely, I say we because we have a few people on our team that help. Like Mr. Jonathan Heston, he's an awesome best-selling author, wizard behind the curtain for a lot of many high producers, the awesome dude. And so we definitely have a hybrid approach of like, yes, we'll help you make money, but also let's dive into some of the issues. There's been times when people are on the verge of having a divorce and they're like, well, why isn't my webinar converting?
Well, let's talk about that stress in your life right now.
And this is what we always talk about, core power. You're hemorrhaging personal power, core power in that area, and it's bleeding over into the game of business. So it is a very holistic approach in which we work with. Absolutely.
Yeah, and you've been really direct with me. There was times where I remember we were on a call with you, and you said something to me. I can tell you what we were talking about. I can tell you what it was about, but I don't know what you exactly said to me. But I started crying.
Yeah.
And I don't cry very often.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, because I've had some
Mean AJ.
But you weren't mean.
No.
That made me cry.
Sure.
You were direct, and it triggered me in some way.
Sure, I held up the mirror.
Yes. Now, after that, you did later on that day check in on me, make sure I was okay, and which is the empathetic side, which I appreciate. But yeah, nothing that you said was mean, but something that you said just made me.
For sure.
Oh, I think I remember. Yeah, you're just like I remember what it was. You said, you were watching some video. We were doing our online course, and you said you basically kind of came across fake. May, what about the real you? I've seen you teach. That didn't seem like you. It seemed kind of put on. Well, I don't know what that was that just triggered me, and I was like,
We like the real Amay, not this thing that you just put out there.
And so coming back to now to the social media thing, right? So I like how you say it's an amplification of yourself, because sometimes people will say with the social media, like, oh, well, you're just trying to create what you want other people to see that you are. And maybe some people are doing
What's
that.
wrong with that?
Great question.
I am at the end of the day, we are creating what we want people to see. Every day, but outside of the game of social media, I'm controlling how I want people to see me, the clothes I wear, the hairstyle that I have, the makeup I put on. I don't wear makeup, but I'm trying to speak for the women. Maybe I do. No, I really don't.
A little bit too
You don't need it yet.
But what I'm getting at is we create who we are.
Yeah.
Legitimately, we create who we are. If we don't like our life, create a new life. If I don't like that I look a certain way, create a new body. Like, this is the beauty of being a human, is we have the capacity to change things and create whatever it is that we want to create. So when people are like, oh, you're creating an image. Yes, I am creating an image.
That is so interesting, right? Because most people would be like, oh, yeah, no. And I said it before, too. I don't like the idea, and I still need to overcome this, of doing Facebook Live, because I was like, I don't know. It didn't feel... what is the word I'm looking for? Authentic to me.
Sure.
So what you're saying is, I mean, I just need to make it authentic then.
Yeah, be genuine.
Right. So, but it is like, yeah, that's what it is, right? With so much of your business coaching, getting people out of their comfort zone.
Well, what happens is when we go live, we pull out this thing called a camera. Something crazy happens when we're like, They're going to see me.
Stage fright.
Exactly.
That means they may not accept me. Oh, no. Right? But it's crazy because if we walked out the doors of the studio and we went to, what's that place we went, Nita? That Italian place that's just right up the street?
Basis.
Basis.
Oh, Basis.
Right? We went up there and had dinner again. Are we worried about what the waiter's going to think about us when they or he or she sees us? Or the manager? Or the hoster person?
Yeah.
Seems like we're okay with that. And yet, those essentially are lenses of cameras, people's eyeballs that are looking at you, which is no different than this little creature right here, which is an eyeball. Yeah, it's a lens, but that's a person's eyeball.
So it's perception.
It's all perception.
Yeah.
So if I'm comfortable in my own skin, it doesn't matter if I can show up and be comfortable in person, or I can just amplify who I am right here, and I can totally be comfortable here and just amplify my genuine connection. So ultimately, the lesson here is if we're like, oh, cool, breathe. Align with the truth. I'm nervous. Align with the truth. The truth is I have a fear that I may be rejected. Okay. Now that I align with the truth, how could I flip that? One of the greatest lessons I learned from Byron Katie is aligning with the truth, learning to fall in love with what is. Where is this fear coming from? It's coming from this fear, this deep fear that I may not be accepted. And if they don't accept me, then how am I going to receive love? Worthiness, independence, security. But if I can align with it, then I can be like, well, let me flip it. So I'm saying they're going to reject me. Let me flip it to the opposite. I'm rejecting me. How could that be true? Well, if I was fully in alignment with who I was, and I really didn't care what others thought of me, then I would just hit go on this thing and I would just show up. Because I wouldn't need their acceptance. I'd have my own. And at the end of the day, that's really all I require is my own acceptance. And if that opens up a window of opportunity where we're like, that feels good. Yeah, let's hit go. Boom. That's a new story that we can create, but it's taking responsibility for that belief system, that story that's ultimately powering our fear from being able to do the work of posting the video. And this is the deep stuff that lots of people don't want to talk about. There's like, hey, here's the script to go to Facebook Live. Hey, here's the da-da-da-da. And those are beautiful, and they're wonderful, and I love them, and I use them, and I teach them. But beyond that, it's some of the deeper work of being like showing up comfortable in your own skin. Because you give me one person who's just reading a script to read a script, and another person who's completely comfortable in their own skin, and they're confident and they're certain. That person who maybe messes up the script but is confident and certain and they're speaking with passion and purpose, they'll outperform the person who's just trying to hit all of the scripts and dot their I's and cross their T's perfectly, but yet you can feel within them there's something a little off.
Yeah. It's not genuine.
They're not genuine, and this is why I always tell people, and you guys are familiar with this, that the frequency of the messenger is always greater than the message. Who I am as a human being and the frequency that I'm exuding out into the marketplace, the level of confidence and certainty, the higher the degree of the levels of confidence and certainty, that's going to outperform the perfect message.
Yeah, and I think that's really important because I think, you've said this before too, don't worry about it being perfect before, just get it out there.
Yeah.
And that is so important. I did learn this over time, with dancing and performing, and sometimes just presenting things to people about, hey, you know what, I'm not sure, but I'll find out, but here's what we got here right now, so let's go with that. I do think that there's some creative people that they're waiting so long for, whether it's their website.
Sure.
I've had friends who's like, oh my gosh, that website, I see what you have right there. You just need to get it up there. It looks great. No, gotta perfect it. But now we're losing time.
Sure.
Which is so precious.
Sure.
Yeah.
I was at a mastermind, it's been about a month ago, here in Dallas. And there was a speaker, and we're talking actually about video marketing. And his stuff was just like pull out the phone and shoot, and he had done very well with that. And he had addressed this, and his line to it was like, my shitty video will outperform your non-existing video.
I'm ahead of the game.
Exactly. And I couldn't argue with the guy.
What a revelation.
But there's a lot of truth in that statement, when it comes about tweaking and tweaking and tweaking and tweaking.
I am still guilty of that too. So even though there's like times where I'm like, I know, you know what, I just got to get this done, or make this happen, or send this email, and I look back and I'm like, okay, wait, no, let me tweak that again because that didn't exactly say what I wanted it to say. But sometimes you just got to get it out there.
Absolutely. Imperfect action will always trump perfection.
Yeah. So relating that to social media, then, like you said,
sure,
get your non-perfect
post, video, picture out. So let's talk about some of the different types of posts, because you talked about earlier about posting a picture of what you're having for eat, and some people are like, well, what's the point of that? And there's some validity in asking that question, actually. And so the first part is we got to get clear on what are we selling? Because if we don't know what we're selling and where we're taking people to, then posting pictures of whatever really doesn't matter. Like, it's just like, man, I'm posting all these things on social media, but how is it going to actually make money? Great question. So if we start with the end in mind, this is what I'm selling, this is the place I'm leading them to, well, then we can allow all of our content to start revolving around that so we can lead them to that destination, right? So it's like, well, how do we do that? Well, there's a couple different ways. So one is like a piece of content that we can write. You can do videos on. You can use images. I like long-form copy. People say, well, people don't read long-form copy. They do if you're a good writer. You guys have seen my posts. They're really long.
Yes.
They're long.
And I've been reading them lately.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
they're entertaining, too.
Yes. Yes. Purposely.
Like projectile picking and
exactly.
The S hitting the fan,
exactly.
literally.
Exactly. All purposeful, by the way, because the more specific I can share personal stories, the more descriptive that I write, the more that you're able to insert yourself into that scenario, and you can see it and feel it just as if you're reading a novel. So there's skill sets in learning how to write copy. But writing personal stories that are relevant to the destination that you're taking people to. Having the ability and the willingness to be real and raw. Most people want to put this pretty thing out there.
Right.
Okay? But if you can share a personal story that says, hey, I'm like you, Mr. Client or Mrs. Client. I've been in these shoes before. I've experienced this pain. Here's what I experienced in that pain, and you're sharing that pain. And here's the revelation that I experienced. Hey, I created this thing to help you avoid this pain. That's a personal story where people are like learning more about you. So it creates a deeper trust and respect. But it's also a great piece of marketing because you're able to connect with the customer market or the ideal market and then move them into, oh, this is how they could help me dance, or this is how they could do whatever it is that you're leading them to. So the personal story is a big one. Outside of that, lifestyle. So lots of people, we talked about creating that life. Well, your life naturally should be demonstrating the results that you help people get. So if you're a dance teacher, I would assume that you dance outside of teaching people how to dance. Mm-hmm. Why not share that with people? Why not share about the competition if you're still competing? Why not share the time that you're just like feeling good and you just like do a little jig out in the bathroom or something? You know what I mean? You're not the only person who probably does it.
Dancing in a mirror?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
The happy dance.
The happy dance, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, you got to do something those 2 minutes you're brushing your teeth.
Yeah.
Or when you have a good hamburger and your feet do the happy dance.
Oh, sure, yeah. Your little snooky feet on.
Exactly. All of those are totally relevant pieces of types of content to create and to share. And they're real. We're not fabricating something. This is real life.
Yeah, this is very much the theme for Dance Teachers Academy.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what people respond to us. Thank you so much for talking about that. That helped me so much, or that really triggered something for me.
Yep.
I never thought of it that way. Thank you so much for being, or the guest for being so open and raw. And we have these beautiful champion dancers that are just like, what blew my mind. For example, Tony Redpath. We always ask, well, what was the biggest challenge you had as a dancer or a performer, and how did you overcome it? This is one of the most confident ladies, gregarious, personality plus. She said self-confidence. I was like, what?
I mean, it's like you walked up to me right now and said, yeah, I got a self-confidence problem. And I'm like, Really, dude?
Yeah.
So you're quite the introvert, I can see.
Yeah.
And that was, but people appreciated that. Sometimes we came across someone, they said, oh, yes, I can, this other champion, she said, I can relate to that. I said, oh, well, how did you overcome your self-confidence problem? She says, I didn't say I did. And we're like, whoa, what? And she, top of the game. So nice then to hear, right?
Yep.
Hey, we got problems too. And love to help you.
Yeah.
This is what we did. And you have that heart of helping people. And I know this is where we started. And so I think that's what you're saying. People can sniff that out if you're like, oh my gosh, they really want to help, right?
We live in the age of intuition. Some say we live in the age of information. I would say information flows like water. If you want to learn something about anything, man, just type it into this little device right here. And
Google or YouTube will get you an answer.
Yeah, I mean, we're cyborgs. I was looking at Elon Musk talk about this, and he's right, because like we don't have like a internet dialed into our hand, but we kind of do. Yeah. It's just not like glued on there.
That's portable.
But we're essentially kind of cyborgs. Totally off tangent. But here's the point. Information flows like water. So we're living in the age of intuition, where people are, like you said, are starting to sense your levels of genuineness, connection, love, your willingness to help. Do you honor your word? Can I trust you? And all of this is taking place without anything being said.
Interesting.
And as we have more and more children coming into this age, I believe they're becoming more and more and more intuitive, more and more in tune. Because for so long we were out of tune. And now there's some of us who are and some who aren't. I believe it's getting more and more and more in tune.
So as much as you teach about social media and talking about the importance of it and just making it an amplification of yourself, you take time to have trips where you have no contact. Right?
Completely unplug.
So give us some examples.
So I go fly fishing every year with my family up in Colorado. We will be going to Ireland the 27th of April to May 8th with the family. It was a goal that I set in 2009. We made that happen 10 years later, because that was when I said it would. 10 years later, I said I'll take you wherever you want. So we did that, or we're doing that. Other times, sometimes weekends. I just choose to set it down. It's choice.
Yes.
The world doesn't end. You know?
Doesn't fall off its spindle.
Nobody cares. Doesn't hurt my engagement. Doesn't matter. Now, there's other friends of mine who they're plugged in all the time. So it's like, well, which path is the right one or the wrong one? Maybe they're both right.
It has to be what's
it's an individual choice.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So there's many.
I could put my phone down and not worry about it.
Exactly. So there's many paths up the mountain. It's just getting clear on what path is in alignment with what you want to experience as a human being, and then going up that path.
Sounds simple enough.
It is simple, not easy, but it is simple.
Oh yeah.
Right.
That we can talk through about all day long. It's it's the work that you have to do to get to it.
Exactly. So do we want to talk about some of the work? We talked about the personal story. There's a few more post types with that.
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
So we had the personal story. We had the lifestyle.
Sure time, dude.
The other post people can create is like a pain problem post. So again, we're already clear on what we're selling. So let's just keep this in the frame of dancing for teachers specifically, so they're selling dance lessons. So thinking through what are some of the problems that ideal client is experiencing. And not really necessarily having to solve it, but just saying, hey, here's the problem, and here's the pain that it causes. So for instance, it's like, not as teaching steps, but why not talk about the mindset that, for selling wedding dances, about the husband that he's experiencing. And you talk about in some of your posts that I've seen, I think you even use me as an example.
Yeah.
But talking about the pain that I'm experiencing and then, how I'm feeling. Like, I hate group classes because they move at the speed of light, and I'm like, what did you just do?
I just missed something.
Yeah. And then I'm frustrated because I'm like 8,000 steps behind, and I'm like, whoa, like what? Anyway, so talking about some of that, but then opening up the gap to being like, yeah, that's why one-on-one's better. And if you understand that there's a difference between group and one-on-one, then you can experience the pleasure, and you outline that. That's all you have to say. But the person who's reading that's like, oh, that's me. I experienced that. Never even thought about doing one-on-one.
Right, and sometimes things have to be, you have to state the obvious.
Exactly.
Right, and I learned that, somebody said that, a friend of mine, sometimes you have to state the obvious, so sometimes that's what I'll say to someone. I might be stating the obvious, but, no, I never thought of that.
Exactly. So the pain problem, personal story, we talked about lifestyle. If you're on podcast or you're writing for other blogs, and I call those like PR, sharing those pieces, but telling stories. And then also, you could curate some content if you wanted to. But always, if you're the authority...
What do you mean by curate content?
Curate. So if somebody else is writing content that would serve your audience, lots of people just share it. There's shared. But they don't put their spin on why they're sharing it. So my favorite example, and I don't want to get into politics, but I like using them as an example. You have all these different talking heads, regardless of what party you like. It doesn't matter. But you have a talking head that you pay attention to. They're curating the news. They're not creating it, right? They're not creating the news. They're just giving their perspective on the topic. So when we curate as an authority, why not give your perspective on whatever you're curating? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Spinning it your way?
You're spinning your way, or hey, I ran across this article and it's going to help you get X result, and here's why I think it's important. And you outline it, and you're like, anyway, the link's in the comments, and then you link to the content that you're curating, that you're sharing. But you're still positioning you as the authority because you're giving your perspective. And at the end of the day, that's what we're selling is perspective.
And our perspective, our authority is because we've done the work, done our own sort of poll.
Sure.
And I say that to my students. I've tried this, even myself, to lead this, so I know that it will work. So same thing for you, right?
Exactly.
In your business coaching. I've done this myself, so I know that it works.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or I've done this myself, and here's what not to do.
Which is, I think more important.
I'm dead serious. So
here are the pitfalls.
Lots of people want to stay on all of the happy stuff. Why not give people the stuff that you wished you would have totally never experienced?
Yeah, somebody would have given you that nugget, so you know not to do it.
Yes.
And how much more authority do you actually have when you're willing to share that type of content?
Yes. Yeah.
Jesus talked about this concept, which is the meek shall inherit the earth. I believe that means that those of us who are willing to be vulnerable have the most influence. And I've seen in my own life, the more willing I'm to be more vulnerable and vulnerable and more vulnerable. That doesn't mean that I'm being a victim. There's a difference between being a victim and being vulnerable. I'm not saying, hey, this happened to me. Yes. I'm not saying, hey, this happened to me, poor me. Victim consciousness. I'm saying, hey, this is what's happened. Here's the pain I experienced, and here's what I learned from this.
Lessons learned.
Yep.
So have you covered all the different...
Yeah, those are all so we covered the different posts. The only other thing I think that would really help these people is how do we build an audience? So one of the things that I taught you guys was spending Monday through Friday going out and connecting with at least 5 people within your target market. So if there are Facebook groups out there within your about dance, or even if it's about if you're local like this, if there's a Richardson or an Addison garage sales or whatever, if they're in that group, they probably live in Addison, So join the group. You can be active if you want, but you can see the members of the group, go through there and just intuitively select the people that you resonate with. Go onto their profile, check them out, and it seems like a cool person. They live here in Addison. Go like something on their wall, send them a friend request, and send them a private message. Private message, all you do is be like, hey, John, I joined the so-and-so group. I noticed you're a member of it. I see that you're here in Addison. I checked out your feed, and I liked this certain post on it. It's a really cool perspective. Anyway, hope we can connect here on Facebook. Look forward to seeing more of your stuff in my news feed. No need to respond. Talk to you soon. Simple. Most people will be like, whoa, they're taking the time out of their day to check out my news feed, and it's not just a blatant spam message. Right. They're just being like a human. Yeah. Most of them are like, oh, yeah, I'd love to connect. Boom. And now you have a prospect that when you're creating the content, we talked about those posts that you're creating, which is once a day, just at least once a day, that really good content. You're letting the content that's doing the lifting and the selling and the marketing. Because there's also algorithms at work. So the more that I'm in somebody's private message, we're having more affinity. Facebook's algorithm is seeing, hey, these two people are communicating in a private message. They probably would like to see each other's stuff in the newsfeed. if we're commenting on each other's posts, then they probably would like to see each other's stuff in the newsfeed. So it's a way for us to not only build relationships with our target market in our area, but also get our content into their newsfeed and letting our content do the marketing sell. So they're like, hey, I noticed that you're a dance teacher here. I've been looking for dance lessons in this. Or, hey, do you know about this? Or, hey, do you know? And now you're having inbound conversations coming in where you can direct the flow of those leads.
And I want to talk about, because we're talking about this, it's kind of, it's a selling.
Sure.
And for some people, that's a bad word.
Sure, absolutely.
Right? But we're always, the heart of a dance teacher or a performer is, so we're giving in a performance. We're wanting to help people with their dancing. But we still have to get out there and tell them about it. And so how would you have someone like overcome this idea in their mind? Like, because like some people even say, oh, I'm not a salesperson. But really, like you said, we are what outfit we wear, how we wear our hair, how we cut our beard.
Sure.
We're projecting our brand, ourself.
Yep.
So that is selling, isn't
Absolutely.
it? Yeah.
For sure. So start, aligning with the truth. So the truth is like, I'm not a salesperson. Cool. Why do you hate the idea that you are? That would be the first place to start. Well, salespeople are sleazy. And maybe that's what they really believe. A lot of people believe this. Okay, cool. So we could start looking at that belief system, that story. Salespeople are sleazy. How could that be true? And you're, okay. Then we can flip it to yourself. You're sleazy. How could that be true? Well, maybe there's been times when I've sold something and I haven't honored my word. Or maybe there are times when I've done this and I haven't honored my word. Right? Or we could flip it to the opposite. Selling isn't sleazy. Well, how could that be true? Well, we're actually helping somebody get what they want, and we understand that investment in equals commitment out. So actually selling is service. And so it's learning to start flipping this, but we have to identify and align with the truth, which is if you truly believe that selling is sleazy, align with it and befriend it until you can get to a place where you're like, there's sometimes when I'm salesy and I'm sleazy and it serves me.
Wow.
Okay. It doesn't have to trigger me. There's times when me selling and being sleazy may be the most loving thing that I could do to another person.
How is that?
Because if I believe in what I'm doing and I'm helping them get solutions in their life, then it's an injustice for me not to sell them to get that.
And let me talk about a person that you've helped that because of his social media posts, Facebook Live, he was able to help us so much. Dr. Brandon Brown.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, I was like, oh, Dr. Brandon Brown. Like, it's just like on Facebook. Yep. Jose had stabbing lower back pains.
Yep.
And so it was kind of like, and he was out there and he was posting. And so, so now he's in my mind, right? So I'm messaging him. And then, feeling a little reluctant. And he was feeling reluctant too. And then he would reach out privately. I think I could really help you. And he has the heart of helping people.
He does.
And so by him reaching out, now this one right here ran a 5K on Friday.
So good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I walked.
I felt it the next day. Back was a little tight.
So this is a perfect example of really, you get your message out because you know you can help people, however imperfect that message might be.
Sure, but look at the opposite of Dr. Brandon Brown. What if he didn't have the confidence? And I'd be willing to bet maybe even behind the confidence, there's probably still a little bit of intimidation. We're like, well, is he going to set me? Well, it doesn't matter. I really feel I can help him. What if he didn't do that? And then you go get surgery, bro. Because he didn't have the balls to be able to reach out. That would have been an injustice to you. This is what I mean by if you're legitimately helping people and making an impact with your products, your services, by you not befriending your fear of being sleazy, you're letting people die.
Ooh.
That's on you.
Not that drastic for me, but yes, I understand.
Right? You're letting people suffer of pain. And so, let's just put this back in the scheme of teaching people how to dance.
Yeah.
by you not saying, hey, AJ and Sarah, I can help you with this dance. We would have just done the stupid little, dance at everybody.
The zombie dance.
The zombie dance, and who the fuck wants to watch that?
It's very uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's not fun to me. It's not fun to the people there. It's over.
You got the cake already.
Right. You helped us create an experience, which is what we wanted to do with our wedding, and that's why it was an amazing experience for everybody involved. Everybody was like, dude, that was one of the most funnest days. Because we created the experience. It's an injustice if you don't have the confidence and certainty to be like, if you want a wedding that's not boring, I can help you. I can help you. It's okay to say that. It's okay to sell that to people. Let me anchor this another again. This is a story that really changed my perspective on this thing. Is honesty always the right thing to do? Being honest.
Unfortunately, no.
You're right. Do you know why he's right?
Because sometimes it could really hurt somebody.
No, I'm not worried about hurting somebody with the truth. So let's paint this story. You're growing up in the early 1940s. Nazi Germany has invaded your country, and the person that you grew up with is Jewish.
Ah.
And he's like, bro, can I hide in your basement? You're like, fuck yeah, dude, I got your back. The Nazi guy knocks on the door 2 weeks later, and he says, are there any Jews here? What do you say?
No.
No.
You say no. If you value human life, you say no. So is the right thing to do always to tell the truth? Not always.
Interesting.
In some scenarios, to lie is the most loving thing to do. So for us to look at this idea of cells, well, being sleazy is never a good thing to do if we're labeling cells as sleazy.
Which is, well, a lot of people do.
Maybe there are times when there are these things that in certain situations, the complete opposite is true. The world is not black and white as we want to believe that it is.
Oh, of course not.
There's massive amounts of gray space.
Sure.
I grew up thinking black, white, black, white. Now I'm like, let's embrace the gray space and live in the paradox. Because that's where massive change and transformation happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why I'm saying, just using this idea of honesty, bridging this back into the game of selves, when you're like, oh, it's terrible to be sleazy. Well, it saved you from having back surgery.
Yeah, and he wasn't sleazy.
And he wasn't sleazy.
But he was out there.
Let's not forget that point.
There
sure.
Big time, every day.
Sure.
Yeah, he's like an A student, by the way.
Yeah. So, so it's just, for the people listening, cells isn't sleazy, cells is service. And it's like totally, like if you study the game of cells, you probably heard that before. But hopefully we're anchoring it in where you're like, oh, this just isn't something to say, cells is service, all right, woo-hoo-hoo. Like, no, it's legitimately you impacting the world with your craft.
Mm-hmm.
I think the sleazy part comes in with the used car salesman thing.
For sure.
Yeah, that's like, okay, now that's sleazy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is where we can just have our own ability to say, no, I don't want to buy from you. Give me somebody who actually gives, who actually loves people.
Yeah.
I'd be one of the guys that would totally just say that. But this is the way I roll.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is when they come up to me with that kind of thing, hey, can I get you something? Yeah, space.
Perfect. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I need lots of space, man. So you stay over there. If I got any questions, I'll give you a call.
It's perfect. It's perfect. Love it. Honesty.
I don't want to deal with you.
Exactly.
I can see what you're doing.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yep.
Now, the other thing I'll say on selling is I actually have gotten to a place, because I'm very comfortable with sales, I like to be sold.
Oh.
I like to be sold. And I'm at a place where if you don't sell me, I'm upset. Now, selling is not...
You do well in Ecuador.
Selling is not pushing somebody to buy something they don't want.
It's information.
Selling is taking an interest in who I am and asking questions to figure out what it is that I really want. And if you have the thing that will help me get what I want, then let me know about that, please. And if I don't, then have the integrity to say, hey, man, we don't have that here. Let me connect you with somebody else.
Boom. Love that. Sales
is very easy. It's not hard. I feel like lots of people are like, I need to learn a script. I need to learn a way to influence and manipulate. I teach, the law of being. The world gives you exactly that which you are at your core. There's natural laws that run this planet. So if I am a person who's like, I have to influence someone in order for them to buy, well, then what does the world give me? More opportunities to influence and persuade and manipulate. And for me, that gets old. I don't want to do it. But if I can get in alignment at a core level, my soul level, where I'm like, selling is service So let me just treat you like a human and ask you questions of like, hey, what brought you in here today? And just shut up and listen. I just be comfortable in not talking. This is where the sleazy salespeople are coming from, is I'd be willing to paint a broad brush and stereotype, and when we do that, we kind of get in trouble, but fuck it, we're going to do it. Most of these people who are sleazy, they're just not comfortable in their own skin, and so they're going to be talk, let me push, talk. So please see me, and we're like, whoa, chill out.
Yeah, one less cup of coffee, dude.
Yeah, those of us who are able to hold space are kind of like, I need space, bro. A little too much.
Yep.
And then the other person who can be genuine and is comfortable in their own skin, they can come in and be like, hey, how are you? I'm good. Hey, what brought you in? What are you looking for? I'm looking for these things. You're like, oh, really? Well, tell me more about that. Why are you looking for those things? Well, but we've been trying to think what car we're going to buy. Well, now they're knowing like what I'm looking for, and they could be like, well, normally would take you here. I don't want to do that because that's not what you want. So do you mind if we go show you, a few cars? Yeah, sure. You see what I'm saying? There's a total different dynamic, but they're still selling me. They're just doing so from a place of having empathy, having compassion, and wanting to get to know what I want. Another example, Sarah and I used to go to brunch a lot, and we still do sometimes. One of the things that I hate is when people come in, I hope this is serving dancing teachers, and they're starting to see like the light bulbs go off. The barista or the waitress or the waiter comes in and they're like, hey, here's our drinks list, what we have on sale for specials. I'm like, okay, we didn't come to drink. I understand that the manager is like, this is our specials, push our specials today. But in order for me to have a good client experience and want to come back, the waiter would make a better tip if he would come up and be like, hey, what brought you guys in today? Are you guys looking to like eat, or are you guys looking for drink specials? My answer would be, no, we're looking for some amazing this type of food today. Well, then he could be, oh, let me show you on the menu. And he's catering to what I want, not their agenda to push something on me. So therefore, I'm going to have a better dining experience, so my ability to tip is going to be better.
There you go.
You see what I'm saying?
Simple enough.
Very simple tweaks. But this is the piece of why most people say sales is sleazy, because they've encountered people who are pushing rather than confident, genuine people who are like, hi, what brought you in? Let's see if I can be of service, because I may not be. That person who sells from that frame, that mindset, massively powerful, and they'll outsell anybody that they're going head to head with, guaranteed.
Because we definitely, like, from another professional point of view, doctors, we really admire and respect doctors that say, I don't think that I can help you, but I would like to refer you to a doctor I respect very much. And you're like, wow. You have
Sarah and I just experienced this. We took Zyra because she had a tongue tie. We went to South Lake today because they allow you to hold your child while they do the laser, thing of cutting the tongue and the lip. So after they told us that, hey, she has a tongue tie and a lip tie, this is what needs to be done, Sarah had a lot of like, I don't want to hurt the baby, The doctor said, look, I see that there is some hesitance in your eye, so my encouragement is to don't do this unless you want to. Like, I don't want your money, I don't want you to do the thing. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it, that's okay too. Like, if there's doubt, don't do it. And Sarah was like, interesting, because it was like a flip. I'm sitting here watching like, you're a genius.
He went through your program.
He's been reading your posts.
Exactly. And afterwards, we ended up paying her. I think we gave her $640 or something today for that. Sarah, came back. She's like, I really appreciate the doctor saying, hey, don't do this unless you want to do it. She's like, I really felt like they were listening to me and they took care of me. And it was powerful. Did it take a little bit more time? Yep. Probably took 10 minutes more than her just being like, no, we're going to do it anyway or whatever. And then it still wouldn't have been happen. So there is that, yes, it takes a little bit more time, a little bit more patience, but your referrals will go up, guaranteed, and your ability to close will go up.
And that absolutely applies to dance instruction. Yeah, because if someone comes to you and says, this particular thing that I want to do in dancing, and you say, okay, well, I think I can get you started, but eventually there's somebody I have in mind that I think could really help you reach your goal.
Sure. Well, even for you, Sarah came in with I don't remember how many songs. It was a lot of different styles.
I think it was for sure 5.
Yeah.
But it may have been 6.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think it was 5, yeah.
And you're like, we only got 2 weeks, so what if we do 3? And then you choreograph the very basic movements, which I thought were awesome. And you're like, the small touches are going to make it. And it was perfect. And Sarah's like, well, could we spice it up a little bit? And you're like, no. I'm like, we have 2 weeks. We're going to, in order to pull this off, we're going to do 3 songs and we're going to do like 3 movement. And like, it was very, very simple. But that's the hardest piece. Like, simple always trumps complex. Right? Mm-hmm. And so it was perfect because you could have been like, oh yeah, we can do that. And then it would have been a total nightmare for us, for you. But instead you're like, no, I'm authority. If you want to work with me, we're doing 3 dances and we're going to do the 3 basic moves. That's it. That's going to get you the result that you want. And we're like, oh, okay, cool. You're the authority. Awesome.
And I was just doing my thing.
Exactly.
And it turned out great. I loved it. Yeah, and very much you have to get into, as a dance instructor, overcome the mind.
Yes.
So,
we all do that.
Yeah.
Because I think so oftentimes in these types of conversations, we're like, well, if I push back and tell them no, then they're not going to accept me. They're going to reject me. Then I'm going to lose out on the deal. But what happens is you then ultimately internally betray yourself because you're not listening to what you know is right. And therefore, so you're like, oh, well, I'm going to do this thing so they respect me. What happens is you come in as savior, and ultimately the client turns around and be a victim at some point. They're like, well, you didn't do this. You didn't do that.
What's the script on you?
Exactly. And you're like, I should have just stuck to what I knew was right the whole time.
Right.
And what happens is when you do that, it's very counterintuitive for a lot of people, myself included when I first learned this, you actually have more trust and respect from the client. Because they're like, oh, well, she knows what she's doing then. Okay, we'll follow suit. And you actually gain more trust and respect. You actually have a better working relationship, and you have a better referral and a better testimonial.
And voila. Well, look, we could sit here. And talk for another 3 hours, but we're gonna have to get you going, man. I know you're busy. AJ, brother, like always, very nice to see you again.
Thank you.
And say hello to the new bride, and of course the baby.
Sure,
Kiss
sure.
for that.
Awesome.
The lovely May.
Thank you, AJ, so much. Again, congratulations in your personal life and in your business life.
Absolutely,
they're obviously
man.
in
Moving
line.
up the chart. Yeah, doing that Georgia Lindsay thing. Moving on up.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Jose.
All right, outstanding. All right, folks. Well, this has been another episode of Dance Teachers Academy. Thank you for watching.